Hello. Welcome to Bod Maverick After Dark, your definitive Dallas Mavericks podcast of infinite failure. Guys, it's 12 o'clock on Sunday, April 6th. The Dallas Mavericks fell to 3 games under 500 because they got waxed by the Los Angeles Clippers, 135-104. I'm here with Josh Bowe. We're going to be quick about this because I'm going to host a secondary live show, a group chat after this, and then I want to hear from you guys directly. But Josh and I are going to talk about this game first. Josh, how you doing?
I'm all right. I'm tired. That game sucked. I'm not in a good mood.
I'm trying to consider a game that I felt this awful after having watched this season.
Honestly, yeah, they lost some bad games since the Luka trade, but this was like those other losses, when you lose by 30 to the Rockets and you don't, you're playing 8 guys, and you're playing 2 G Leaguers, it's like, all right, whatever. This game was the closest they've been to approximating kind of the team that they want to be. Obviously, not that close because no Kyrie Irving, no Daniel Gafford, but you had the vision of the big front court. You had PJ, you had Anthony Davis, you had Derek Lively, which I think that's the first time those 3 have started since that Houston game, that Houston game, Anthony Davis's first game after the trade. Yep. I can't remember if PJ played in Lively's previous first game, but maybe I'm wrong. But that's the most they've played together, I think, since that Houston game. PJ, Anthony Davis, and Lively, and so obviously it's not. There's still a lot of incomplete grades because no Kyrie, no Gafford, but like that they got closer, and despite the fact that they got closer, they lost by 31 points, and it's hard to say a 31 point, like the scoreboard actually made this look like a better game than it was. Like the fact that the Mavericks were only down 9 at halftime did not do justice to how awful they looked and how they were playing and how much they were getting beat in this game. And then the second half then the scoreboard caught up. Like they should have been losing by this many points for most of the game, like 20 to 30. And the fact that they didn't wasn't really, I don't think, due to anything the Mavericks were doing, but more just the Clippers kind of playing around with their food. But that was an ugly loss, effort and strategy wise. It was a waste of time. It was a waste of everyone's time to stay up late to watch that game.
Just a very accurate, a waste of everyone's time. And all right, so it's worth noting to me, I think, that this Clippers team, who, you look at the NBA standings, they've won something like 13 out of 16, and yet they haven't moved at all in the Western Conference. This Clippers team is playing slightly like they're not as bad as I'm not saying that right. They're playing much better than their record suggests. So I hate the Clippers. Like I have an institutional built-in hatred against the Clippers, but it's worth noting tonight, at least for me, that as I'm watching them play tonight, I was almost admiring how well they played.
They're very good. They're a very good team.
So tell me if you remember this correctly. I feel like in the first round of the playoffs last year, the Dallas Mavericks, my understanding was, and this is hindsight, but the Mavericks took the bet that James Harden was not going to be able to hit the floaters. Yeah. Is that something you remember?
Yeah, that's why they lost that one game. Remember, Harden made
the first game. It was like they lost game 1 again, and we're like, Jesus Christ, Jason Kidd, can't you win a fucking game 1 ever?
It was not the game 1. That game they hit a bunch of threes. It was that game in Dallas. It was either game 3 or 4.
Okay.
When Harden hit like 6 floaters in a row, and everyone got mad because they weren't adjusting. But yeah, I know. Yeah, but that definitely happened. But I don't,
crispest James Harden game I have seen.
Yeah, he looked very good. He looked like Houston James Harden tonight.
He hit a floater at the end of the first quarter that made it 33 to 30 or 21, where it was like, what the shit? Like he just dropped it from like 9 feet out. And I was really, really frustrated watching this game. And it was just something and not like frustrated in a, I guess I was frustrated with the Mavericks, but I really don't feel like they could have done anything against the Clippers in a lot of circumstances because Harden was on his game. And I want to give credit to the Clippers for once. Harden was on his game, 29 points, set 14 assists to 2 turnovers, along with 7 rebounds in a mere 31 minutes. Like he carved the Mavericks alive. Ivica Zubac scored 25 points and 10 rebounds to go with a perfect 11 of 11 shooting. The Mavericks did not bother him at all. And the real like piece de resistance was Kawhi Leonard's asshole self coming back, playing his first back-to-back all season, and simply annihilating the Mavs. He was 29 points plus 27 in 25 minutes.
Yeah, that looked like 2020, the Kawhi the Mavericks saw in those playoff series back in 2020 and 2021. You hit the nail on the head, though, with the Zubac stuff. He ate them alive. Like, look, the Mavericks offense sucking tonight is not surprising, especially if Kawhi is going to look like San Antonio Spurs Kawhi at times, like just taking the ball away from people. And again, the Mavericks losing this game isn't surprising either. The part that's disconcerting is the defensive effort because, look, James Harden had a good night, Kawhi had a good night. Okay, the Mavericks, they have no perimeter defenders. Part of that is their own choosing. They traded Quentin Grimes away, who could have been maybe useful in staying attached to Harden around some of these pick and rolls because that's something Grimes is very good at. But Zubac owning them and the Clippers owning them in the paint. The Clippers had 80 points in the paint. They shot 40 of 62 in the paint. They had 68 points in the paint by the end of the third quarter. If you're going to start and build your identity around PJ Washington at the 3, Anthony Davis at the 4, and then choose a center at 5, whether it's Lively or Gafford, I don't care if Jason Kidd right now was your point guard. Like, you cannot give up 68 points in the paint through 3 quarters if that's the identity of the team you want to build around, because you are giving some things up by playing super big with 2 bigs and PJ Washington, who should be a 4, who's playing at the 3. You are conceding spacing, you are conceding some offense, but you are saying, okay, we are bigger and stronger than you. We are not giving up the rim. We are not giving up the paint. You're going to have to outshoot us. The Clippers made 11 3-pointers. They were 11 of 28, which is a decent enough percentage, but they only made 11. The Clippers did not win this game by blitzing the Mavericks from the 3-point line. They won this game because they dominated the paint against a team that is specifically built to not allow the paint to be dominated, and that's the philosophy of the team. I get that there are injuries, no Gafford, but guys, like Kyrie Irving, that doesn't equal into this equation in terms of like giving up paint points. Like if Kyrie played, that doesn't mean the paint defense is significantly better tonight. Obviously, less Spencer Dinwiddie would help. He is not a good defender, but still, you have 3 supposedly elite rim defenders playing in your starting lineup, and you give up 80 points in the paint tonight. Granted, against a good Clippers team, but like, come on, like that's embarrassing. Like it wasn't good enough. Anthony Davis had 0 blocks in 27 minutes. He wanted absolutely nothing to do with the physicality of this game.
His we need to talk about him, and I think we save him for the second half of the show.
That's fine. He was terrible, but we'll talk about him later. Okay, go ahead. I got a lot of ammo. Like
no, you did, and that was what was so great because I run the playback with David during the show, and I decided to write the recap for this, and mainly because like who wants to? It's such a late show. Like if you're listening to this, we understand, guys. Like we're not stupid. our listenership goes down on weekends and during losses. Like that's just the nature of fandom. You guys got shit to do. But Josh
they
and I
also
are going
go
to
down after you trade your
They also go
franchise
down after,
cornerstone.
yeah. That's we'll worry about that in case Pod Maverick ever goes towards extinction. But Josh and I are like we understand. So it's we want to do this anyways because I don't want to save it for a show next week. Like who cares? But we're talking about this, and it's just this game was once again over midway through the first quarter, and I hate the feeling of wasting my time. And that's what I really like. My whole weekend, like I mean this, like my evening weekend has been dedicated to the Mavericks, and it was a waste of my time. And I am mad about that. And it just I hate it. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna insert some ads here real quick. If you guys have been listening to the show more, understand like we're inserting a few more ads because we're with a new podcasting network. That's how this show pays the bills. That's how Josh and I are able to do this. We would appreciate it if you listen. We'll be right back. And then we'll talk a little bit more. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Okay. So if you guys are here on a Sunday morning, Saturday night, depending on your time zone, that Josh and I are here. One of our loyal listeners today tweeted out. He's like, hey, listen to these shows. These shows have taken a hit. Yes and no. We're going to be okay. This is a tough time. We're going to, I think a lot of Mavericks fans will come back during the off season just because there's interesting things to talk about. This is not a particularly fun time to be a Mavericks fan. That said, if you're with us, you're with us. So consider subscribing to the show, liking the podcast right now, depending on what your feed is. If you're listening on an audio stream, if you're watching live on YouTube in the middle of a Sunday morning, you're a true sicko and you're my people. We value you. Please subscribe to the show. Josh and I would appreciate that. All right. Now I really want to give you a little bit of landing or a takeoff zone because we've had like a behind the scenes, like a series of weeks where the ongoing joke has been Kirk is going to get canceled because Kirk's going to say something stupid about Anthony Davis. And it sounds like, at least listening to your comments tonight, that you were kind of fed up with how he was either utilized and or played. So why don't you go?
I didn't like his game tonight at all. And again, if this is what it looks like because he's playing through an injury, then don't play. That's kind of where I'm at. It is very, he's toughing it out. I give him all the props in the world for trying to shed this label. Great for him, but the team needs to step in and be like, let's get you right. We are not going to win anything this season. We are going to at best get the 8th seed and play the best team in the NBA, the Thunder. Like, just use some logic, get him healthy, get him ready for next season. Because they're going to need him healthy, by the way, to start next season as healthy as he can be. Because he's going to have to do a lot because Kyrie Irving's not going to be ready till All-Star break or. Yeah, I don't know when Kyrie, we know for sure he's not going to play through the first couple of months at the very least. So they're going to need him for the start of next season. So again, commendable that he wants to gut it out. But if this is what it looks like, obviously he had the great game against Atlanta and that was fun. And I don't want to deny anyone's enjoyment of that. But if this is what it's going to look like against good teams and they're about to play in the playoffs and you only play winning teams when you get to the playoffs, I don't see the benefit here.
Tell me your fun little stat. Tell me your fun little Mavs win-loss stat. You shared it in the Slack, but they've only beaten how many teams with a winning record?
They are 1-11 against teams with a winning record since February 13th. The average margin of loss in those 11 losses is 20.2 points per game. Obviously, Anthony Davis. I know, winning teams. Obviously, Anthony Davis did not play in all of those games, but he's played in 2 of them, and they're one, I guess, just the Clippers game. That's the only, because everyone else has been a losing record: Atlanta, Orlando, Chicago, Brooklyn twice. So he's only played in one of those. But tonight was just on defense. He wasn't near the basket enough to protect the rim because he's playing power forward, and the Clippers don't play a power forward, by the way. Clippers play one big the whole game. Even they don't even play a backup center, by the way. Like their backup center is, I don't know, Ben Simmons, Derek Jones Jr., like Batum. Like they don't even really play. Like they got Drew Eubanks, who plays some spot minutes, but he only played 7 minutes. So they play it pretty small. So he was guarding out near the 3-point line for a lot of the game because he's playing the 4 because he's not playing the 5. So his impact in the paint was neutralized because the Clippers spread things out, and it's like, okay. And then the other side of the floor, I mean, he's shooting mostly jumpers against a team again that only is playing one big man for most of the game. He shot. Let me pull it up because I need to know. Where is it? Anthony Davis. He shot 5 mid-range jumpers, and then he shot 6 shots in the paint outside the restricted area, and he shot 3 shots in the restricted area tonight. 5 3-pointers, 5 mid-range jumpers. That's 10 long jump shots out of his shot total tonight. Against this Clippers team, that's not great. He wanted nothing to do with Zubats in the paint. And then when he had a small on him, he just took a bunch of jumpers. Even if he got near the paint, he still took kind of jump shots.
Did you see that play early in the first quarter? Maybe his first quarter, but Zubac gets the ball at the top of the key and realizes nobody is in front of him, and he drove the whole way and then dished it off for a Kawhi layup that Kawhi missed. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
He barreled into Anthony Davis so fucking hard. Anthony Davis almost ended up on the baseline. Now, to Anthony Davis's credit, he recovered. He distracted Kawhi or whoever it was and then secured the rebound. It was actually a really impressive defensive sequence. But that level of physicality, he is just not made for it. He's not. And I'm sorry, it's not a criticism to say that a human being cannot take other human beings running into him on repeat and still be able to perform. Okay. I don't hate him.
No.
That people get so mad at me. They're like, oh, you hate this guy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, no, he's actually kind of insane. I actually respect Anthony Davis a great deal. He plays through a great deal of pain. The problem is he's not very effective when he's in pain.
Yeah. I mean, he had 13 free throw attempts, which was good.
Really good.
For the times he did. He did exploit the mismatches during those situations.
It's 6 turnovers though, and zero assists.
0 assists. Yeah, that's bad.
That's Joel Embiid.
Yeah. The thing I really didn't like about the offense, the approach with him is, so he's playing the 4 and Lively played the 5. And I think, I don't know how many minutes he played the 5 tonight, but it wasn't a lot. But
right.
When he plays the 4, and this happened tonight, he was not setting a ton of on-ball screens. The only time he really set on-ball screens were those ones where he was trying to force a switch to get a mismatch than to isolate and attack. In terms of like real screen and rolls where he is dive into the rim and the floor is spread out, that just doesn't happen because you can't run a screen and roll when you've got a center in the dunker spot. You can't run a screen and roll when your 3-man is PJ Washington and teams don't care about him as a floor spacer. So
I think you're going to have to write about that at some point.
No, I know. So that's why, like, he's taking all these jumpers because that's the offense they kind of have to run. And then he goes off the bench. He goes to the bench, and Kai Jones comes in, and Kai Jones plays the 5. 9. Yeah, he comes in. He plays the 5 with 4 perimeter players, and he's screen and rolling like a madman, getting dunks with Dinwiddie. And it's the best the offense looks. And then Davis comes in and they play this slow, plodding style. That's not, I don't even know if it's Davis's fault, but I mean, if he wants to play the 4, he has to make threes, and he can't make, he's like a career 30% shooter from 3. He can't rim run with another center on the floor. And so the offense is just this slow. There's no on-ball screens. There's no movement. Klay Thompson had a great game somehow shooting wise, but like it's hard to maximize Klay if you're not getting the defense moving, if the defense can stay on Klay, because they're not getting guys in rotation, and their guards can't get guys into rotation right now because it's Dinwiddie, it's Thompson, it's Christie. Like these guys can't beat guys, one-on-one off the dribble. So You're making things harder for your guards who are already limited because they're up a rung or two because of the injuries. You're making things harder for Davis himself because he doesn't have space to roll into the lane because you're playing another center. But also that's what Davis wants. He literally said in a nationally televised interview when he was with the Lakers that he was like, I want the Lakers to trade for a center because he's never wanted to play center, despite the fact that he's almost always been at his best at center. And that's just kind of how it is. And just watching, like, felt like I was watching like just a team from the Stone Age play against a modern team, because it doesn't work. Like, yeah, he had 27 and 9, and he 8 and 19. And it looks okay, but he was a minus 16, and there was never a point in the game where I felt like they were threatening with this offense. And
so this is where this is almost a much deeper discussion, and I don't want to bury it on a Saturday night podcast. I think we may need to look into this a little bit more. But the two big lineups that you're seeing from the NBA, your Hartenstein and
Chet.
Got it. Sorry, Chet. In my mind, I saw a joke where someone called him the fourth best weed dealer on a community college campus, and I just can't. That's what I think of. Like, Chet isn't even in my brain, but it's like Chet and Hartenstein, and then you see the pair up in Cleveland.
Jared and Evan Mobley.
Yeah. Those teams have made it work because they have, and this is the real rub, guys. Each of those teams has a S tier playmaker.
Yeah, the Cavs make it work because they got friggin' Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell in their backcourt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also, you know, Mobley. You know, Derek Lively is very good, and I think he's going to be very good. But
sure.
he is not as good as Jared Allen or Mobley right now. Like, that's just kind of how it is. And then the other, you know, Boston will sometimes do it with Horford and Porzingis, not a lot, but again, one of those can shoot. Chet can shoot. The teams that do play double bigs, either one of them can shoot, one of the bigs can shoot for threes, or in a Cleveland situation, they've got, you know, two extremely dynamic offensive guards, which the Mavericks don't have. And even if Kyrie was playing, they would have one dynamic offensive guard. They wouldn't have two. So, and that makes a difference. Absolutely, that makes a difference. Like, it just does. And like, I was just watching. It felt like the Mavericks were trying to slam a square peg into a round hole tonight, or just like hitting their head against a brick wall, hoping it would break. Like, it felt it's such in vain. Like, I was like, you guys can keep trying this, but it's not going to work. Like, it just won't work. The math won't allow it. Like, it was really, and what was really disheartening was, if you're going to play this really big lineup, if it's already kind of funky, do some funky stuff. I think I saw one Davis, PJ Washington pick and roll. I think I saw one Davis Lively pick and roll. Do more stuff like that. Like, they were walking it up and then just sort of getting Davis into an isolation situation, trying to get him to draw a double. And it didn't look good.
Do you want to know do you want to know my theory is there? This is just me being total conspiracy brain theory. They're almost super worried that they're going to have to play the Cavs in a play-in game, so they don't want to show them anything interesting.
I mean, the Clippers?
Yeah, sorry, the Clippers. Because they showed nothing in 2 games. It was the most Rick Carlisle-ass coaching game I've seen in some time from the Mavericks, because we've seen Jason Kidd do nothing. My favorite, again, 30 minutes into a podcast, I don't really care. Radio voice of the Mavericks, Chuck Cooperstein, responded to one of your tweets about how good Jason Kidd has been over this last stretch, keeping the locker room together. Jason Kidd is such a clown fraud, but he's actually not a bad coach. He just doesn't coach that much. And that's the part that starts to really chirp away when you're watching games like this, because, you know, okay, the Clippers have more talent, but they didn't. I just keep circling back to what you said. They didn't do anything interesting.
No, they didn't. It was offensively or defensively. It was just, and if you're holding back because you're going to have to play them in the play-in, they got to make the play-in.
Which they're gonna, yeah, but it's whether,
or you would like to host the game. You'd like to host that 9-10 game, right?
Yep.
You don't want to have to win 2 straight road games against teams that are better than you, right? To make the playoffs.
It's never happened.
I don't think they have the luxury of hiding stuff right now.
Well,
Like,
but that's what
that's
this
crazy.
but that sums up this coaching staff and this front office and we're smarter than you. We know better. Where I've been arguing, again, this is just me getting a take off, but I've been arguing with people on the internet for the past 48 hours about how, maybe Nico was smart to get out ahead of Luka because Luka just, his body might break down. And I'm like, are you not watching Anthony Davis come apart at the seams playing basketball? Like, you can say these things, but the reality in which that it's played out makes me feel like a crazy person. So,
yeah.
Okay. So here's kind of what Josh and I are going to do. Cause I don't want to, it's not that I don't want to waste minutes on a podcast like this, but look, you and I will be back on Wednesday. Today's Saturday, Sunday, whatever we want to talk about. The Mavericks have a series of days off. They go home, they're Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, then they play Wednesday in the early game. The Lakers, who they're playing on Wednesday night, play Oklahoma City tomorrow in Oklahoma City, then Oklahoma City on Tuesday, and then come to Dallas. So Josh and I will be recording relatively early, probably at about 9:30 on Wednesday night. Everybody look forward to that. Please join the show. I will absolutely host a secondary show, win or lose after that game. I'm also going to do that now. So those of you who are listening to the podcast, if you have takes, we had Leo join the other night. Thank you, Leo. In days gone by and years gone by, we've often had a lot of callers, but right now I think the Mavericks are just in this point where nobody's really listening. I don't blame anybody, but if you guys like Josh and I, give us a listen. It's appreciative. Okay. We're going to get through this together. All it takes is one lucky bounce of the lottery balls. And I swear to God, if the next idiot who tells me online that there's not a difference in the percentage points, there is a difference in the percentage points. That's how math works.
Literally one number is better than the other.
Like if they were 10th worse, they would have a 3% chance versus the 14th or whatever it is, where they have a 1% chance. And it's like, that's 3 times more. Sorry. I'm tired of it all. I'm tired of people making justifications and saying, oh, well, they should try. All right. Everybody be good. We'll talk soon. Please stay on the line if you're going to hang out. And Josh and I'll be right back. Josh is going to go do some editing because I shouldn't be editing anything tonight. Everybody, we will be right back. Thanks so much for hanging out. Go Mavs.